first one was the relationship between facade and addiction, because
Yep. So our facade is all about lies, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's
You think about your facade. It's really lying to self and the world. You're telling yourself and you're telling the world that what you really want is not what you really want, and so forth. But your addictions, when you start engaging addictions, they show the truth of what you really feel, that you have all these needy holes that you want filled, and you'll do anything to fill them. Does that make sense?
But is one is one driving the other? No, they're like,
no, what's driving all of it is these two things. The avoidance of my pain and the avoidance of my emotion of terror.
Isn't because the way I feel is my facade is there to try to do everything it can to both avoid the terror and instead get the pleasure of the addiction.
Correct.
So it's basically then it feels to me like my facade is driven by my addictions in a way, or by my fear and my addiction. Isn't that right?
No, your facade is even created because of these two things.
Yeah.
And so all of what the facade then creates. So you think of your facade as a part of yourself.
Yeah.
So it's part of your real self.
So you mean it's like the part of me that's doing like the hurt self is saying,
the hurt self is this pain.
Yeah, I'm terrified. Avoid my pain. And the facade's going, okay, I'll avoid your pain. These addictions will do it. Lies will do it.
Yeah, we talk about that.
This will do it. That will do it. Okay.
We talk about how we talk about tomorrow how your pain is really like a dictator, a controller, a manipulator. Your pain is doing that. Your facade is just following its demands. It's like a servant. It's your humble and faithful servant. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Following whatever you wish to do.
Yeah.
And the facade is there because the dictator says, do this, avoid pain and refuse to feel terror. And so the facade says, no worries, my
I kind of realised that recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Great, thanks. And second was, you said just before, a minute ago, that you were attacked less when you got rid of some terror. Yeah. I was kind of surprised.
Shocked. Why would you be shocked? Because at the moment the belief is that if you follow God's laws, it's going to be worse for you.
Yeah. That's
your belief. It's not true.
Would you be able to give us a personal example of that?
I was terrified of, one of my major motivations was to please people all the time. Right, so I'd run around pleasing people all the time. I'd run myself into the ground pleasing people, doing other things for other people. The reason why I got sick every month was because of that, actually, that one desire. So there I was, out of harmony with law, not loving myself, driven by terror that other people, if I don't please other people, then I'd be seen to be a bad person or whatever. And so I'd just please. That's my addiction. Pleasing them makes me feel better about myself. Okay, I deal with the terror. I don't have to please anybody anymore. Right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all of my sicknesses go away. I go from being sick every month to not being sick for 10 years. So that tells me, interesting bit of feedback there. I'm actually more in harmony with God's laws now, and as a result, I'm not breaking as many, and as a result, I get some good outcomes. Right? So not only that, also I get attacked less from people. Because before, I was so much into pleasing people that they would all know that I'm into pleasing them. And so whenever I didn't please them, they would dump on me like nobody's business. It's like attack here, attack there, attack here, attack there. Once they knew that I wouldn't please them, except under certain circumstances, they didn't attack me anymore.
That makes sense, yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Before, I was feeding their addiction to get whatever they wanted from me, and then after I dealt with that, they realised that they couldn't do that with me, and so they didn't bother. They just went and did it with somebody else.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't get attacked as much.
Yeah, no, I noticed that with you, like that you feel like you can't get away with things with AJ where you can with other people. Yeah.
But also many of you, as a result, don't attack me either.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. Thank you very much for that. But it's a part of the law in operation. The law is I'm no longer giving you. So if you look at it from a vortex perspective, there's a vortex coming out of me before that I would satisfy a person's addictions.
I love that. I love that metaphor. It's exactly what it feels like.
And their vortex was
the sound you make.
Yeah, that's what it's like. So their vortex was that they would accept me pandering to them because, they felt superior to me or whatever. Yeah. Now, as soon as I cut that off, like they, for a little bit, have that demand, and then they realise, what's the point?
Yep.
It's pointless wanting AJ to feed an addiction, and just go somewhere else if you want an addiction feed.
So just in summary, the facade is like the master. The slave of the master, which is the hurt self.
No, the pain is the master.
The pain is a master,
which we'll talk about more
facade
tomorrow.
is a slave, and the addiction is one of the solutions.
Yes.
Okay.
The slave says, "I'll just engage this addiction. Would that make your pain go away?" And your pain goes, "Yeah, that feels better now." So we're done.
Okay, thanks.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Many of you have been thinking that your facade is the problem. Yeah? No, your facade is the effect of the problem. Yeah. So it's interesting. The facade is the effect of the real problem, the avoidance of pain and the refusal of terror. That's the problem. And your facade is just doing what that demands. Just obeying. Your facade is she who must be obeyed. What's that from that show? She who must be obeyed? Yeah, Rumpole of the Bailey, that's right. She who must be obeyed, his wife who must be obeyed he was referring to, but I'm referring to these two emotions, must be obeyed, must be obeyed. So your facade goes around saying, yes, I obey. I'll do whatever is needed. And your facade is even busy obeying everybody else's ones as well. Isn't that crazy? It's like, not only will you obey your own demand to avoid, but somebody else has a demand to avoid and you obey that too. It's like, how crazy is that? Like, so we're running around obeying not only our own demands to avoid these two things, but also obeying everyone else's demands to avoid these two things. It's no wonder we feel like we're tired and no energy and exhausted and so forth, is it not?